Okay, I'm going to show you how to assemble your pieces, how to go about assembling pieces to make the final cube. So we're going to do my pieces into my cube. You can follow along and do that as well, or you can just watch the video, see how it's done, and then go and do it with your cube. I'm not going to grade you on both. I'm only going to grade you on your final assembly, your cube. But you may find it helpful to just go through and do this cube with me so that you have a better feel for things. In fact, if you go to do your cube and you're struggling, I would come back and just go through this step by step. But of course, every cube's a little bit different. So for example, what you're going to start with is the piece that you would start with if you were building it yourself. For me, I always, with this cube, to remember how to do it, I always start with this piece right here, the orange one. So go ahead and double click that and open it up. And then orient it like it would be if you were putting this thing together. For me, I'm going to actually, just to show you how to do this, I'm going to turn it a little bit. So to do that, I go to bodies and I drop that down and I right click here on body one and I select move copy. And a really helpful little interface shows up right here. And I can do all kinds of things. I can raise it up or not, in this case. I can move it along the x-axis, and it tells me how far I move it. So if I want to move it a specific distance along the x, I could go, 0.1. Sorry, where's my? There we go, 0.1 and or 0.41, whatever. It would move it that far. But also, I can, if you look at these little circles, I can rotate this around any of the axes as well. So for example, I could grab, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this one, and I want to rotate this 90 degrees. I would highly recommend sticking to 90, 180, 270 as your angle choices. It just is more likely to come up with something nice. If you don't, you can always use the undo button. But I rotated it 90 degrees along the, I guess it's the z-axis. And then I hit OK. And I think that's a pretty good view for me for now. Of course, I can move it. But if you didn't want to do it, if you don't want to move it, I can always hit undo. I think I might actually leave it, come to think of it. But that is an option. You can always go and select move copy. You could probably do it. I like doing it here because it selects the entire shape. If I come over to the shape, it might only select this face or that edge or whatever. So I like using it over here in the browser. Okay, so well, to assemble it, we need another piece. So once we have the base piece in place, we come over to our files here and grab, just click and hold down and drag the other piece in, the next piece in, I should say. Now, as soon as you bring it in, you'll have that same interface. You'll be able to move it and rotate it and so forth. If it helps, one moment. If it helps, I would move it so that it's pretty much aligned the way it's going to be when I'm done. So for example, I know this piece, I'm going to slide it out here a little ways. I know this piece is going to go like, rotate it 90 degrees and shift it this way a little bit. And then I think slide it in here. It's going to go basically like that. But just putting it there does not lock it into place at all. There's a whole nother thing we have to do. But once I kind of figure out where it's going to go, I'll slide it away from there. So I know this is going to push in against that. And I pick a couple faces that are going to meet up. I can hit OK. Once I get it to my spot, I hit OK, and I'm done moving it around. Now it's there. And by picking a couple of faces, I mean, I'm going to take this face, and I want it to be up against this one. Right? I want to slide that. I want this face, for example, and this one. I could have done this up against this right here. There's a lot of options. In this case, the one that made sense to me was this one up against here. So there's many, many ways to do this. You could have done, for example, just to show you another option, I could have done this face right here, this one facing down over here, to this face here. So all kinds of options. But for now, I'm going to assemble and I'm going to create a new joint. Now in this box, you have two components. I want you to select a specific spot on the two shapes. We'll get to that. You're going to make sure that it is a rigid joint. There are lots of different kinds. Ones that will rotate around each other, ones that will slide back and forth, ones that will slide in and out of each other. So all kinds of different possibilities. So this is blue, which means it's waiting for me to select the first face. And I assume it wants, since this is visible and this one isn't, it wants me to select it off of here. So let's look at that face I was going to use, this one right here. Now when I hover over this, I have lots of options of spots and things I could choose. I've tried the middle before, but it doesn't always work the way I expect it to. So I've been avoiding the middle. Also, you want to make sure it's a point on this face. If I go too high, you see how now it's this axis, that line. We don't want that, because that will be able to rotate. So on this face, I've been having success with one of these points in the middle of a side, like that right there, or that, or that, or that. I'll use this top one because I think it's the most visible. So I'll click once, boom. Now it's going to take that point, and I have to put it against, so zoom out, the corresponding spot on this face, which would be this one right here, of course, right? Because I chose the top one here. It's going to match up perfectly with that. So I come over and I make sure that that's what I'm highlighting, not this, but right here. I click, and sure enough, it pushes them together. It does that little shake thing, and then it's done. These numbers, the arrows and this number here, I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll move this out of the way. This number here, they are there in case you wanted to offset it. So in other words, maybe you want them almost touching, but not quite. You could offset them by, say, 0.1 inches, and that offset them in that dimension, 0.1. And of course, you could do the other dimensions as well, but I'm not interested in offsetting them. I want them right up against each other, so I want that to be 0. So I hit OK, and now these things are one object locked together. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing with the other pieces. So picture what piece you would use next, and let's see. I'm going to use this green one. Bring it over. Let it go. And then I'm gonna move it out of the way first of all. But it looks like actually it's pretty much where I want it. I'm gonna move it up a little bit because when I'm done, I guess 0.75 inches technically, right? But it doesn't really have to be there because this is just an approximation. But I want it like this roughly. I want it right on top like that. So I'm going to move it over here, hit OK. It's roughly where I want it. And I got a decision to make as to what I want to match up. I think I'm going to match up, let's see, let's go assemble, joint. It's already rigid. I'm going to match up this side right here, this little circle here, with this right here. Now, don't panic. It'll bring those together, but since the red one is already connected to the other, when I hit OK, it'll put them all together. So it's interesting. It moves the red one over, connects it, and then since the red one is connected to the orange, it brings them all together. And so far, I think I'm on the right track. By the way, if I wasn't, I could always just hit undo until it's fixed. You know what the other thing is? If I decided that I didn't like that, I could delete this constraint. This right here shows the constraint between those points. So I could go up and I could say, oh, I want to delete that constraint. Now they're not locked anymore, and I could redo it if I wanted. But I'm okay. I'm going to keep it. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do, I think, is this piece here, the one that has the two long sides. And I'm going to orient my view of this to help me remember how this thing goes. Yes, I want it like, let's go right here. All right, so now I can remember. So for me, I have certain ways I have to arrange it to see what I'm doing. But I'm going to bring this in. And let's see, I'm going to move it over. And I'm going to move it up a little bit. You can be more exact if you want. I could even type in 0.75 in this case and bring it up that far. And I'm going to need to rotate it as well. 90 degrees? No, 180. And if I do that, I slide it in. Well, not high enough yet, so let's go up. Let's go up higher than that. So somewhere in here, maybe. Let's try that. This is roughly where I expect where I need it to be. And you don't have to, like I said, we're not actually positioning it. We are just, by the way, if you zoom in, you can get a more detail on your movements. So I can go like this. But like I said, this really isn't necessary what I'm doing, but if it helps you picture where it goes, then you can do it. So I see now where it's going to go. I'm going to move it away from there so I can access the sides I need to access. And I'm going to hit OK. All right, let's do this. Let's assemble. I think I'm going to connect it to the original orange piece if I can, or well, I guess it's not going to let me. So we'll do it under this. Let's do it under this green one, I guess. So we'll do. Or I wonder. Actually, we probably can do it to the orange. Let's try this. So I want to do it. All right, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to cancel this real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to connect this face right here to the underside of the blue one here, down here. So I'm going to connect this spot right on the edge of this one to the base piece, this one right here and this one. So let's try that. When I hit assemble and I hit joint, it's going to hide the orange one, but that's okay. We'll start with the blue one. And I want, zoom in close, make sure you see what you want. I want that right there. Boom. And now the orange one should be highlighted or should be available again as an option. And there it is. And I want, interesting. It's not going to give that to me. I should probably use this spot then, shouldn't I? Okay. Then what I can do, let's say I need to do that. So this is not, there isn't a spot here for me to lock onto. So I've decided now that I want to use this, but I have to reselect the one for the blue. So I'm going to go back here, click on this, and see if I can click on something different now, if it'll let me. All right, I have. So I've reselected that. Now I go back to the orange and I can select on this. It'll bring them together. Oh, I picked the wrong side, didn't I? Yep. How many of you saw that coming? I can't say honestly that I saw that coming, but it obviously makes sense now. I didn't. I should have picked the side, the point over here, not the point here. All right. So what did we say we could do? Well, let's go back to this one and select this spot here. Now it does it. Kept that. There we go. See, there's always a way. You can always reselect by rechecking one of these. I like that. I hit OK. Home view. So far, it's coming along nicely. And now I'm going to lock in this last piece right here. So I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to orient it and rotate it and move it so that it fits what I need it to do. So for example, I'm going to rotate it this way, 180 degrees. I'm going to bring it up to somewhere in here, maybe. And just generally position it where I want it. This is probably good enough, but I'm going to be a little bit of a stickler here. There we go. So when I'm done, I want it to be right in there. So I pull it out. I hit OK because I'm done moving it around. And let's see. What's the best place to go with this one? Well, let's see. I have a couple possible options. I'm not sure what it's going to give me. So let's go ahead and start the assembly process. Click Joint. And let's see what options I have here. So I could do maybe this side right here with over here. Let's do that. So I'm going to click here. Let me move it so you can see what I'm doing. I'll click the far right side of this. Boom. And then On the green one, pick the left side here. Boom. Let them come together. Hit OK. My cube is now officially together. Hit home if I want. And there you go. And it should look like the drawings in your book, if this was your own cube, which is all you have to go by. So if you just colored in that assignment to get it done and didn't really care about whether it was legit, good luck. But there's how you do it. Have at it. Go get your own cube taken care of. Oh, wait. Damn it. Save it. No, 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 no. We want to save this as save as, because this is no longer our piece one. You want to save this as, like for example, I would just go Wellborn practice cube assembly. So call it your assembly with your name on it. That's fine.